Hey Evra, I need you. Oh, are you still salty about that? Yes, I know I said I was done, but I've had another thought. Alright, fine. I'll use someone else. Oh, hey, Lana, you'll do. So I was thinking about the Shadow Crystal bosses recently, trying to find parallels between the 5 of them, and on that topic I was thinking about the soul modes that Deltarune has, and how Chapter 5 bucked a few traditions. First of all, Chapter 5 was the first chapter to feature 2 soul modes, and the first chapter to feature a soul mode that was not featured in Undertale, that being the Orange Soul in Flowery's fight. Additionally, it was the first chapter to have a soul mode featured in an overworld bullet segment, which we have yet to see so far. I'm unsure if this is relevant at all, but it's also the first time we've had the Deltarune soul modes associated with the Undertale soul traits, as Flowery says, "Charge up your bravely colored heart." Not sure if it means anything, but I think it's worth pointing out. This means we've seen 4 soul modes so far. Yellow, green, purple, and orange. I'm not interested in that though. I'm interested in the 4 who use those soul modes, being Spamton Neo, the Hammer of Justice, Pink, and Flowery. And the Sound of Justice, but whatever. What common threads do each of these characters have? There was something in between. In between light and darkness. Not a pure lightener, not a pure darkener. Spamton Neo is a darkener puppeting a lightener's beloved creation, their dream body. The Hammer of Justice is the darkener representation of Gerson Boom's Ashes and Hammer. Pink is a ghost lightener puppeting a darkener body. Flowery is a living creature given higher consciousness than your average darkener. They are something in between the light and darkness, treading the line between the two. The only thing we've seen used soul modes outside of these 4 is the Sound of Justice, which is the image of the Hammer of Justice from Susie's perspective, so it's a special case anyways. Jevil and the Knight are the only 2 Shadow Crystal bosses who lack a soul mode, and Flowery doesn't even have a Shadow Crystal, so that theory got busted entirely. It's specifically Spamton Neo that has a soul mode. Normal Spamton uses the normal red soul. Something about the Neo body is what allows Chris the yellow soul. Toby keeps adding bizarre middle grounds between lighteners and darkeners, not fitting solidly in one group and the other. And something about that middle ground allows them to fundamentally change aspects of the game. Yes, I know there's also other versions of the red soul, like the umbrella or during the mic fight, but those seem relegated to one-off jokes about the system. The umbrella soul still has the usual movement system, and the mic fight doesn't move the soul, it moves the battle box, like we've seen plenty of other fights do too. It's just that the battle box is so small that the soul is forced to move through it. It's the soul modes that change how the soul functions, so that's what I'm talking about here. Not only does Toby keep adding these bizarre middle grounds, but he keeps up with the idea that there is something in between. The eggs are in between. The soul is in between. But where does that get us? There's nothing there to go off of unless you want to make further assumptions that are founded on baseless evidence. This seems like a dead end, though an interesting through line if we're expecting the cyan and blue souls to potentially make an appearance in the next 2 chapters. Oh, he got us, didn't he? Alright, I'm gonna be real. I had another 10 minutes planned out for this video that I had to scrap due to a combination of 3 things. 1. Toby added new friend lore in Chapter 5 that is relevant to my theory. 2. Everyone else is already having the same idea that if we fight Friend, it's going to be an Aqua Soul fight. 3. The remaining points of the video were stupid, and I think there's better ways to explain things. What I was going to talk about was how Friend is also something that is in between layers of reality and could therefore be another user of a soul mode if we do end up fighting them. But everyone else is already thinking about that, particularly with the Aqua Soul, which I was thinking as well. God damn it. First of all, base theories that I will be building off of. Watch Seek's Who is Mike Actually video. I will be going off the ideas that the eggs represent Chris's trauma, which is the main thing that I think is relevant to my theory. Though there might be some other stuff there that I might use as well. So go watch that video first. It's a good theory. I'll also be going under the assumption that the Mantle Speaker in the Mantle games is Friend, as Seek explained in Cammy Boy G's first episode of DELTARAMBLE. All videos mentioned will be in the description and the top right info card. So, protein. What is this protein that Pink mentions in the new Chapter 5 dialogue? Obviously it's the eggs, as you can only get that dialogue if you have the Chapter 5 egg, but a lot of people have taken that to meaning the Forgotten Man is hiding for Friend, and I don't think that's the case. This dialogue is the only instance of that we've seen so far, and the idea that Spamton was also hiding from Friend doesn't make sense because Spamton is copying them. Wouldn't that bring more attention to him? No, I think Friend wants something different. Let's look back at the Mantle games. All throughout it, Chris is faced with things they don't want to experience. The Weird Root, killing Susie and Ralsei, the Shelter, all of these are pain points to Chris. The Shelter in particular if Chris has some past experience there, which all signs seem to indicate. The eggs seem related to Chris's trauma about what happened as well, as we see in the method to get the Chapter 3 egg having heavy ties to Nowhere and 1225, December holiday, and the Chapter 4 egg being an art therapy of Chris trying to draw what they had seen before covering it up with a tree. The eggs are protein, and the eggs are trauma. The protein is trauma. Friend isn't hunting the Forgotten Man, Friend is toying with Chris's trauma. The Mantle games in the new Pink dialogue make it very clear that things that are at least related to Friend poke fun at Chris's past experiences. Alright, that was the first half of the theory, not related to the rest, but I just had to get that out there. Back to the Soul Mode users. So I think it's fairly safe to say that Pink is a direct parallel to Chris. Maybe people have already pointed that out. A ghostly force possessing a body that wants different things where the body decays and eventually dies if the ghost does not possess them. There's more parallels, but you get the idea. Flowery obviously toys and mentors Ralsei throughout Chapter 5, acting in a similar fashion to Gerson, while having his own agenda as well. Let's say that Flowery is the Ralsei parallel. It's the simplest one. Gerson is obvious. They mentor Susie, easy Susie parallel. But what about Spamton? Oh, it's Chris again because of the strengths. No, stop! We already have a Chris parallel that also has strengths. We have 4 Soul Mode users and only 3 main characters. Well, broaden your horizons because there are other Lightners who have also been to the Dark World. So, let's talk about Berdly in comparison to Spamton. Both have coaster fights. Both are the main perpetrators of the Weird Root. Spamton's the one who gives you the Thorn Ring, while Berdly is the only enemy we can have Noelle use Snowgrave on. Spamton has eggs, Berdly's a bird, and the eggs from the Forgotten Man show up on his desk in Chapter 4. Both were forgettable before reaching an important streak to their success, and they're both constantly chasing that thing that allows that success. For Berdly, that thing is Noelle, his study partner. For Spamton, it's probably Mike, the one who lets his sales skyrocket. Do I really need to explain any more? Well, if you're not convinced, there's a stuffed alpaca video going over Berdly's character arc in Chapter 2 that was released a couple years back. Go watch that if you want to see other comparisons. So, Spamton, while he does have some baseline similarities to Chris, is actually more parallel to Berdly. You could also make the assumption that the Soul Modes also are what the character arcs for the user's parallels are like. Susie gets kinder as her character progresses, the Green Soul. Berdly gets more selfless through his character arc and openly accepts Suzelle and condemns Chris if they try to insert their way into it in Chapter 5. Go look at all the festival options, it's actually quite surprising how goated Berdly is, after being spat in the face by the Fun Gang. I guess you could make the argument that Ralsei becomes braver through the chapters, but it kinda falls apart at Chris' perseverance because that has no ties at all. Stop what the theory's about though. Anyway, let's talk about Friend. The other main character who's been to the Dark Worlds is Noelle, and she has a blog. And in that blog, she talks about her past game experiences, including how in Dragon Blazers, she brute-forced a maze that leads to a unique door that has no key that she could find. In that blog, she talks about an egg she got in Cat Pedders that no one else had found before, that left due to happiness when she took care of it. Noelle is the type of person to search through everything a game has to offer to find its secrets before sharing them online. Sounds like a few of the people who actually release the secrets they find on the internet. Friend can only be found in secret places through most of the chapters, if you walk in just the right way in Cyberworld, if you search just the right room in Third Sanctuary, if you notice the game's mechanics just perfectly enough and apply them in just the right room in Flower King Dark World. The only times they show up in a remotely non-secret way is the start of Chapter 3 and the Sword Route, where a game representation of Noelle is. So, in summary, Spamton is the worst version of Berdly, what he can become if left to his own devices. Gerson is the perfect teacher for Susie, giving just the right advice in just the right way to let her change. Pink is a mirror of Chris, a one-to-one connection. Flowery mocks and toys with Ralsei, perfectly enough to release emotions we haven't seen from him before. And Friend is the secret that only someone like Noelle would find. It's curious that 4 of these 5 have soul modes associated with them, with the 5th not having a fight yet. I would say it's also curious that Friend's direct appearances, no, I'm not counting the 2 instances in Chapter 3 because that's not physically present in the room, are in Chapters 2, 4, and 5. Chapter 2 has the yellow soul, Chapter 4 has the green soul, and Chapter 5 has the purple and orange souls. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's something to think about. So, I think Friend is the culmination of the Soul Mode fights, likely using the Aqua Soul as the other Soul Mode users are at least loosely related to their Undertale counterparts. Spamton Neo is using Mettaton's Dream Body, Gerson was the role model for Undyne, and Pink bought T from That Stupid Bug, just like Muffet used in Undertale. So it seems unlikely that the Blue Soul would be used, given that's related to, yeah.